How you guys doing? I want to talk to you really quickly about the glory of God. I'm going to do about 5 or 6 minutes, but God began to take me on a journey years ago where I was in the anointing for a long time. I was just anointed, operating the anointing. And the anointing is powerful. The anointing comes, the glory comes on top of your anointing. So it's not like the anointing is some weaker level of God. The anointing of God is just as important. So I want to talk to you really quickly about how to experience God's glory, how to experience the glory of God. How did I begin to experience it? How do you experience it? How do you increase in the glory? So first we need to define what the glory of God is. The glory of God is the manifest presence of God. It's hard to define really what the glory is, but the glory is the highest dimension in the spirit. It is no higher than the glory. And within that glory, there are different levels or layers to it. So there's not just one level of the glory is multifaceted. It's unable to, and I wrote on the glory in my book, Divine Dialogue, The Art of Conversing with God, and it still doesn't do it justice. The glory of God is everything God is. When Moses asked God, one of the great carriers of the glory in the Old Testament was Moses. If I had to title, I would say becoming a carrier of God's glory in your Moses asked God, I want to see your glory, God. He had already seen the power. He'd already seen the anointing. See, he had seen some of the glory and he had seen the power, but he wanted to go deeper. He saw the power of God when they split the Red Sea. That's the level of the anointing. That you can see demonstration of the power. You can see miracles. You can see signs. You can see wonders in the anointing. But when the glory comes, there's a whole different dimension. You can't live in sin for long. Now, you can mess up, make some mistakes, and God will have mercy. But staying there and living there, you can't operate in the glory, because in the glory, there takes purity. It takes holiness to sustain the glory. To sustain the glory. And so, because the glory is God, it's a very manifestation of God himself. God's power is what he does. The anointing is what he does. He releases his anointing for ministry. His anointing is for ministry. His glory is for you. Yes, he ministers out of the glory. You can minister out of the glory. But the glory is more for your personal life, and also for you to minister out of that glory and allow God to do everything, because in the glory, it's all God. I began to prophesy in the anointing, and it was strong. But when I begin to move in that prophetic glory dimension, when I begin to prophesy to the glory, God begins to, the prophetic goes to another height. It heightens. When I do deliverance of the glory, it heightens. It's just different. Okay. And so the glory realm, there's realms, there's levels, there's 3 dimensions to the glory. There is the doxa glory, which is the revelation of God, is the reverence of God, is the knowledge of God, who God is. So Moses experienced that. He said, God, show me your glory. God showed Moses himself, because the glory is God himself. He showed God himself. The doxa glory. The kavod glory is next. That's the weighty glory of God. That's the weight, the kavod, the weight. That's that when you're in service, you can't stand. The worship is so intense, you can't stand on that presence. It's so strong. That glory is attracted through radical worship. And then we have the Shekinah glory. Now, this Shekinah glory is the manifestation. Years ago, I began to see gold dust everywhere. Now it follows me. And, I have gold dust on my hands, my clothes. It manifests on me all the time. That's the manifestation of the visible glory of God. So I feel the weight of God in my services on me all the time, and then I also feel the kavod, and then I have the doxa. I walk in all 3 dimensions. You can walk in all 3 dimensions of the glory as well. God has given every believer access, but you got to begin to seek it. I was tired of just the basic. I wanted more. I wanted the glory, because in the glory is provision. In the glory is God can do in 6 months. what it would take 6 years to do. In the glory, a church, when a glory comes to a church, that he can take a church that has been struggling in the anointing to get members and all this stuff. But when the glory comes, that church overnight can have worth lines out the door. That's what happened in Brownsville. That's what happened in Lakeland. That's what happened in Toronto with the Toronto revival. That's what happened with even when Matthew Stevens had his revival in Chicago. That's what happened in other places when other people had moves of God. I believe that's what happened in Miami. That's what happened in so many churches. That's what happened in Tampa with Rodney Howard Brown's revival. That's what happened with Catherine Crick up there. These are examples of when the glory comes, something happened and everything changes. Because in the glory, everything changes. How do you attract this glory to your life? Worship, radical prayer life, a radical fasting life, a radical pursuit of the presence of God. When you pursue the presence like this, God's glory will become your friend. God's glory will manifest in your ministry. God's glory will manifest in your life.